Well, listener, that's the great thing about pro wrestling, right? Like your career can be revived on a moment's notice. Like all of a sudden you can be down in the doldrums, and if they decide to put you over, you're over, and there's nothing anyone can say about it. And one thing I do know is when ESPN canceled AWA and they finally went out, and Larry Zbyszko was the last champ, his first stop was the WWF, and they had him as a jobber. They had him lose because that was really interesting. Because I was one of those guys who actually tried to follow other federations. There wasn't a lot of opportunity to watch AWA or NWA on television where I was in the tri-state area, except for that AWA ESPN show. But I'm glad, they let Larry continue. I'm not surprised that Larry divorced the daughter shortly after leaving. I mean, it's obvious Larry married the daughter to get the title, right? That's how we started that discussion. Hulk Hogan left because he didn't want to get married. But one thing people don't understand, pro wrestling was very monumental as a cultural icon in the mid 80s. I was at WrestleMania 1, and I watched how it affected people after that. WrestleMania 2, I remember I was at karate class, and the teacher was a red belt, and she's really pretty, and she called the class early because she was going home to watch WWF. My ride home was this young black kid that was living with us, Alex James, arrived really early to pick me up because he wanted to run back there and watch the WWF. Like the whole world was pinned on the WWF WrestleMania. And I think number 2 they had, was it King Kong Bundy versus Hulk Hogan? I think so. And they had it in 3 places, Chicago, LA, and New York. Vince is always over the top showman. But that having been said, one thing about combat sports and wrestling in general, I think it means a lot. Like there's Arn Anderson, right? One of the 4 horsemen. Well, I can tell you, I never learned about the 4 horsemen in the Bible, like, the pestilence and whatever, all that stuff. I learned about it from the NWA wrestling and the wrestling magazines. And so it's interesting how things seep into our life. And I really believe that martial arts is a spiritual experience for me. But one thing you'll learn about that spiritual experience is nothing in life is fair, right? Like who they put over in wrestling is not fair. But I got news for you also. It doesn't matter. Boxing and MMA might be real sports, but they are as rigged as wrestling in a way, right? Like a person who's taking care of an investment or a fighter they want to succeed will match him properly so he succeeds. Sometimes they'll even lose and they'll rematch him properly so he succeeds. I mean, there's a lot of guys that, can't fight their way out of a wet paper bag that they build up and make into contenders. There's a lot of guys who are really tough guys that end up with even records because they weren't moved right and nobody cared about them. But again, that goes back to what real life is. Whether you're in wrestling or whether you're in boxing or MMA, it's nothing fair about it. Everybody, read my book, Warrior of the Light.